So good luck, everybody.
Good. We have the entertainment. Yes, I didn't see what happened on the chat.
Yeah, it's a little bit now. Okay, yeah, we switched. I think it's not possible with him.
Okay, so no entertainment, or we have backup.
We will play the same music like last time, but in the end.
Okay.
Okay.
No problem. Yeah.
Good. Everybody, fasten your seatbelt.
Yeah, ready to take off.
I wish you good luck.
Thank you.
1 minute.
Hello to you all. I'm Ayanda Murapani, your host for today, all the way from the beautiful and very warm city of Dubai in the United Arab Emirates. I'm so pleased to welcome you on behalf of the Masterclass Initiative and Africunia TV to this session today. And we are thrilled that you could join us. We have some, a great lineup today, wonderful facilitator with us, and also some entertainment we will play and we will share with you towards the end. On a personal note, I would like to wish a happy Islamic New Year to those of you celebrating this weekend. The Masterclass Initiative is truly pleased to bring you another insightful and impactful session on this very weekend. And we know that you've come to expect that standard from us. We want to sincerely thank all our partners, particularly Africunia TV, enabling us to bring you quality content at your convenience wherever you are in the world today, because this is what makes this whole concept so forward thinking after all. Our guest facilitator today is Melanie D. She's currently a consultant, a senior IT consultant with one of the big four. If you know the big four in the auditing world, we're talking Ernst & Young, and in her case, KPMG, based out of Austria. And she will be presenting on the topic post-COVID-19, the future mindset toolbox. So she will be doing that over the next hour. She will be presenting. So the whole session will be for 2 hours, and she will be presenting to us for over an hour, just under an hour. And 30 minutes is been set aside for all your questions. So Q&A session will follow after her presentation, and that will be for 30 minutes. So I advise that you take note during her session or during her presentation of all your questions, write them down in the chat box, or raise your hand when it's time for Q&A so we can identify you and you have the opportunity to either say your question yourself or I can read it out for you if you'd like me to do that. We will be recording the session, so if you have missed it or you have found so much value in it, you want to share with others, you can find the recording on the Africunia's YouTube pages and Facebook pages, so look out for that. So please don't rush off. At the end, we have some great entertainment to round up the session. But before I introduce the facilitator to you, just after the short commercial break, I'll do that. Let's first have a short commercial break from one of our partners. Great. And we are back. I just wanted to see how many more people have joined us. I see we have good participation with us today. Once again, welcome to you all and thank you for joining us for today's session, Post-COVID-19, the Future Mindset Toolbox. And to now introduce to you the facilitator who will be unpacking this subject for us in greater detail, the one and only Melanie Deep. Melanie, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Is that okay?
The first name is absolutely fine. Last name is
How do you say your second name?
Depe.
Depe. Okay. I practiced that before and I wasn't sure it's right. So thank you, Melanie Depe. Nice name, Melanie. Thank you for being with us today. For all of you attending today, Melanie was originally born in Germany, even though she's now currently based in Austria. She's traveled to so many wonderful exotic countries and has lived in places like Bangkok, Cologne, San Francisco, New York, and even where I am today, Dubai. She's a senior IT consultant with KPMG, as I said before, one of the big four. And she's very passionate about helping clients find value and fix situations, problems that they're not able to do so themselves. And this, from her entire experience, she's been able to put together this toolbox, which she feels is, something that we all need to be mindful for as we move into this new COVID-19 economy or COVID-19, post-COVID-19 reality. So Melanie, I'm gonna now hand over to you. The stage is yours. Welcome once again. Just before I do that, please note that all microphones need to be muted until the presentation is done. And once that is done, I will give then the cue to the audience to then pose their questions. If you have no further matters at hand, we will now go straight into Melanie's presentation. Melanie, go ahead.
Perfect. Thank you, Ayana, and thank you for the opportunity of having me here. That was a great introduction, and I do want to share what I learned on my path so far. So for that, I created like this little presentation with a short agenda for all of you. So we're gonna share it in 3 parts. The first one is know who you're working with, and that is the most important person because that's gonna be yourself. You have to know who you are, who you want to be, and what is important to you. You also need to choose the people you surround yourself with. Not everybody who's along the way is the good one for you or like helps you where you want to go, but you need those people anyway, as well as those who are your cheerleaders. And then the third part is directly related to the topic. It's the tool, techniques, and methods. I encourage you all to have like a pen and some paper with you, because whenever you see those red box in the right corner, that will be your task. So I have a timer here right next to me. So I want you to interact and engage. You can do those like little exercises on your own. We can share some insights in the Q&A or also like during the presentation. But I do want you all to take something from this presentation. And that, in my opinion, is best done when you actually do something. So this is not just to chill and relax, but I also want to tickle your brain a little bit. Let's go. So know who you're working with. Like you will be working with yourself, your ideas, your discipline, and also your ego. That can bring you a long way. It gives you confidence. It leads the path, but it could also stand in your way. So you need to know what triggers you in some of those difficult situations. So here's the first exercise before I go deeper into the topic. Please read through the words and write on those piece of paper and with the pen that you have what attributes to you. So if you are a very optimistic person, the glass is always half full, the sun is always shining, write that word down for you. The same goes with being direct, being tactful, being strong-willed, being forceful, reserved, precise, even-tempered, enthusiastic, outgoing, high-spirited, very lively, patient, humble, results-oriented, firm, analytical, systematic, private, or accommodating? I'll just give you a minute here. Write down the words that you feel describe yourself best.
Melanie, as everybody, the participants are writing down, I mean,
Yeah.
just a quick question from my side, how did you come about, doing what you do? How did you know this is the career path that you wanted to take? I'm sure people will be interested to know that.
Yeah, I can do that. So ever since I was like, as you said earlier, I was born and raised in Germany. I went there to high school and also my first bachelor studies. And I felt group work is awesome. Like group work really helps me to tackle to tackle a problem, come up with a solution. But it's not always the answer that's in the book that's the right answer. So you have to like draw over the lines and like look a bit further, combine different experiences. And then a good friend of the family actually introduced me to his job, who is a consultant. And I'm like, don't you just like paint fancy slides and just like talk the whole day? Because
Yeah.
I do have to admit, like I also had a lot of prejudices against the job. And then he's like, yeah, well, that's not everything we do. We actually do create value. Let me show you. And that's how I got hooked. So I got a part of his team. And ever since then, I realized like I'm brought in when the client needs some support or just a different perspective. Because me being external, I can ask questions that people from the inside cannot do. Like,
Yeah.
why do we have to do that? Why is
Yeah.
the process always like this? What is
Yeah.
always like this? So I
Yeah.
can question the status quo and actually being paid for it. So, and that's the tweak that I like about my job. Like it's a nice combination to let your creativity spark, but also like delivering profound value.
Amazing. No, I think it's wonderful for people to know how you got started and
Yeah,
actually what
true.
led you into this career path. So thank you for sharing that. So I'm sure everybody's ready now with their ideas or words. Thank you, Melanie.
Perfect, absolutely. We can do that more often. There's like multiple breaks. So whenever in a break, we can have like this little conversation about it. So if you have
Great
more
stuff.
questions, feel free.
Good. Thank you.
So just to give you an insight, like I'm gonna go to the next slide and you will see the same words, but in a different color. So I want you to look through your words that you just wrote down and write down the color that you have the most mentions of. So if you wrote down optimistic, outgoing, high spirited, lively, and enthusiastic, your color is definitely red. Same goes with blue, with green, and with yellow. And this is one of the first models I want to introduce you to. It's the disc model. So all that is marked in the same color goes, say, in the same bracket. When somebody is very dominant, it goes to characteristics, and now it's important to know it's not either or. So there's a lot of tendencies. I cannot be purely green. I cannot be purely blue. That is, I hope that you see that on your piece of paper because you wrote down multiple things. But it's important to know where you have like the most weight in which color you weigh in the most. For example, the dominance. So you're eager to take the mic. You stand in front. You speak up. You like get emotional when there's injustice. Like you have a hot boiling blood, so to say, which is all in a good way. Second one is influence. Like when you are in a group, you're the one who's like, hey, what about doing this? So you spark the idea. You get them to do something. You create a new vision, a new idea for the whole group. Steadiness, on the other hand, is playing it safe, which is also a good way. Like when there's something new coming up, you don't know what it is, what it does. Okay, what do we know about it? Let's take a step back. Let's reassess. Where do we go? And when we're conscientiousness, like that is always like this word. Every time I bring up this model, it's breaking my tongue. But the yellow sector is more of, okay, we have to get to the bottom of it. It's the analytical part of it. What do the data points say? I'm not caring about the information, but like going down to the source. But also, yeah, there's up and downs. I'm even tempered. We get through it. So there's a lot of different varieties. what you can be. And you can use that for yourself. So if you know you're good in influencing people and you have a good gut feeling and you get along with somebody who also has a lot of like insights and data, team up, tell them, hey, I know you derive the right information from the insights, but let me talk to the people and now we go and then see where the influence is going to take us. There's some raising hands here. Is that questions or do you like, what do we do with that?
Hi, everyone. If you have a question, could you just type it out in the chat box? If you want to speak, I'd advise that we wait for the Q&A session because that's when we'll have more opportunity to ask questions and, debate back and forth. But for now, if you have a question, just type it out in the chat box. And what you could do actually, tell us, what you found about yourself. If you're a D, just say, I found that I'm a D, I found that I'm an I, so we can see the combination that we have. How many
Absolutely.
D's, I's, C's, and S's. I mean, Melanie, I've done this before, this DISC assessment. And, I was a dominant D, but I was also an I. So I'm sure you're going to cover when you have two, similar or two competing styles. I'm sure you'll cover that as well for us as to if you're both a D and an I or D and a C, how does it work? But yeah, I found that I'm a DI. So
Absolutely.
like to see how others are doing in terms of the assessments.
Yeah, same for me. I'm also like a DI. It like depends on when I do the test. Like I'm either more on the D side or more on the I side.
Yeah.
What I found fascinating is that I almost have nothing in C. Like
Wow.
if you like give me a data sheet and be like, work this through, it's gonna take you 5 hours. I'm like, find somebody else to do that because that is not my strength. And that is
Yes.
important to know for me, but also important to know for my team. Because I know some of my colleagues are amazing when it comes to that. They have the patience and they have like this will to get into it, where I'm like, yeah, just give me the insights, I'll take it from here. So that is not in a bad way, but you have to know where you stand. So if you would put me in front of that data sheet, and then there's one of my colleagues, I remember her quite well. She's awesome at what she's doing. But if you put her on a stage, she has stage fright. So she freezes and just does not do. So that goes directly into the eye. Like if I would pull her up now, she'd be like, that's good, but, and so it would not be good for the both of us. So it helps seeing, okay, what are you actually strong in and how does that go? I also have something about from the S. So like my family would now say I'm not the most patient person, but I can definitely sense when there's some stress in the room or I need to be tactful. So that means I can use that. And I see also how the room is vibrating. I can also sense when somebody is strong in the S and C section, what that makes with them. Like, so if they feel uncomfortable, and that is also important, then you can reach out to them and they're like, hey, I see you. I know how it is. What can I do to make it better for you? So you pull the tension away from you, which is contradicting to saying the dominance because you want to stand in the sunlight and you want to stay in the center. So there's also these characteristics inflict each other. They play off with each other. And so like in general, it's a whole interesting term. So I also embedded the PDF for you, or you can just Google it with Alex Bradley. It's the workplace profile. And there it's all about the different conflictions and everything, how it works together is all explained there. And that is really like you can do multiple things about it. Other profiles are the 16 personalities, or you can even do a color test, like which color am I attributed to? So as a little like net to the side, you see on the left side this orange bar, like that is with my most favorite color in the world. Like I do have something for red and orange, which also comes back to the eye being red as an influence. So it like all plays together. And when you see that and do different tests and see different tendencies and shades of your personality, you understand why you reacted that way when a certain topic came up. You understand why you did perform on that task better than you did with the other one. And you also know your triggers, like your history. So when somebody expects from me to like work something where I'm like, yeah, I'm in my eyes wasting my time on that. That contradicts and conflicts enormously with my ego, But still, I have to assess, okay, is it now me talking or is it my ego talking? What's the context of the situation? And sometimes I just like have to bite in the sour apple and get through it. But you only know that if you know who you're working with. And that like comes back to the point, know yourself. Get yourself to know. It's a fantastic journey. It takes long. You still will discover some parts about yourself for the next years that you're like, oh, where was that? Like I never saw that. And that makes it so fascinating.
Amazing. And I hope that everybody, I'm sure they can identify with some of the things you've said. And hopefully we can get, people putting in the chat with, if they're a D or an I or a C and an S, so we can see how many we have. So carry on, Melanie.
Perfect. So that is like this as a small insight into the first topic. I would propose like that I touch on multiple topics, just as I did now. You write your notes and then dig in afterwards, because that is also one of the tasks that I learned during my career and during my path. You have to write down what you know, and more importantly, you have to write down what you don't know. So, for example, if that's the first time you hear about DISC, you write it down and like Google it later, and then actually do it. That's how you learn. Second part, choose the people you surround yourself with. So generally speaking, you're the average of the 5 closest people around you. If they are focused, motivated, driven, you become more focused, motivated, and driven yourself. I could have inserted any adjective here. So if they are very sporty and they drag you out, you're going to be sporty yourself. Still waiting for that to happen for myself, but there's still hope, I guess. Now, but let's get back to the topic. I just wrote down 6 different keywords or key motives, which I want to dive into. So just like, I want to entangle it with like personal experiences or what I learned during my studies. So let's dive right into it. First one is get attached to the motive, not the people. And that was is strongly related to the purpose or like to the job I had before my master's. So as I said earlier, a family friend made me familiar with this whole consulting world. So I started working in his company. And I did well. Like for almost 3 years, I did projects, the clients were happy. And I was always know like I do want to center myself around the client's need. It's the agile transformation, it is the future mindset. But then some people changed. Like some quit the job, some actually left the company. And I felt, hey, it's not the same with not the team. And then also the focus kind of shifted in the company itself. And that's when I realized this is not fulfilling my purpose. I love the people here, and especially my boss, but I'm too far away from where I want to go. So I do want to get attached to the motive. So I chose to go abroad again, to study overseas, to get back to the motive of international business and carry on from there. The second part is learning from others. I forgot who said it. Some wise person must have been. When you're speaking, you're just repeating what you know. When you're listening, you might learn something new. And that just stuck with me. So whenever I get the chance, I keep quiet. I try to listen to people, like hear from their experiences. Ayanda said it earlier, during my studies, I traveled a lot. Studying some parts in San Francisco and then moving to Dubai, whole different perspective, whole different world. So I kind of shut up and listened to the people. So I learned a lot. And that was very cool. So you can learn from others through their speaking, you visiting webinars like here, you read books, YouTube is fantastic. Get to learn something, every day something new. The third one is show others and present yourself. Like I've been sharing this masterclass with my family and friends. Like, hey, this is what I do. Yes, I do have a full-time job, but still, like I created something which I'm actually proud of. And I wanna share that and I wanna get into touch with it. Hey, what do you think? Can you give some feedback? Did I speak too fast? Was I nervous? Did I feel uncomfortable? So it's not only feedback with myself, but also the people that were listening. And the same happens also at work. When you create a model or you have a nice project idea, you write it down, you prepare your points, and you present it. But also present yourself. Not saying like, oh, I think it should be nice that, but more like, hey, this is me, this is what I have. And then you can go back to the disc model. Hey, I know I saw the inside when you're very hard on the yellow side of life. Or if you're very dominant, say like, hey, I need to dial that back a little because this is me approaching with an idea. So you got to know who you're working with, you know yourself, and then adjust the presentation style to use it. So not only show others, but also show up for yourself, because it doesn't help you if you did all the work, you ran the kilometers, and then somebody else is there and be like, yay, nice. But it has to be your name. And that leads me to the fourth point. Is the effort equal? So you're going to have a lot of people that surround you, that say they want to help you, and that are going to help you. You have friends from your childhood, throughout school life, then later on in your professional life. And whenever you work with somebody, you have to see, is the effort equal? Am I carrying the whole thing? Or is it really like we do this together? Are we in this together? And what I found helps most if you talk about it. So I opened up to one of my closest friends when I did like little projects with them, saying, hey, I am all in. I do want to go that extra step. I do want to create something that's going to blow them away and have a little tweak to it so it stands out. Are you in as well? And then if they say like, yes, let's do it, that's awesome. But it's also totally fair if they're going to say like, not for me. Like, it's fine, but not for me. And then you got to deal with it. But it's better if it's upfront and not that you like work hour after hour and you put yourself in, and then at the end you're like, yeah, wow, that was nice, but I carried it all on my shoulders, because that's not good for you. The fifth part is to rest and relax, alone or together. And I'm now going back to my personal experience. So here in Austria, we got on a lockdown in early March. So that is, we've now almost September, like something like 5 months ago. We thought, like our company thought, okay, let's see how this is gonna go. It's the first time having such a pandemic, having such effects on the economy. First week was slower. I mean, that's true. We do work a lot. So the first week was actually nice, like catching a breath, taking a little step in, because everything was new. And then our clients were like, hey, this is overwhelming. We need you, and we need you now. So ever since March, I've been working. And when I say working, I've been working a lot. And just now I realized I do need to rest, because like I forget something. I forget appointments, or I forget some connections between two info points that somebody told me that would normally not happen to me. So even though I eat good, I eat well, I do go outside to catch a fresh breath of air in the morning. I do get my 7 to 8 hours of sleep in, but still there was no rest. So do that. Resting is important, and resting is no invaluable time. Quite the opposite. Like, it helps you actually. It helps you sort your mind. It gets you back to your creativity. It gets you to reconnect with yourself. So I underestimated it, I have to admit, and that's why it was so important to put it in this presentation. Rest is important, and rest has value. So and you should do that with yourself, but also with people. So go on a walk, go to a new place, take somebody, and like experience something together. Not only will that strengthen your relationship with them, like friendship or business relationships, but also it will make fun. Like, it will create something. And out of that, new things going to be created. And the last thing is protection. So that has multiple dimensions. First, you got to protect your work, but you also have to protect yourself. And you also have to protect the people you surround yourself with. You should know about their strengths. You should know about their weaknesses, same as they do about yours. And if it's not gonna like, hey, I have your back, or I'm here for you when you struggle, then there's no protection. And then the whole thing is, I don't want to say it's doomed, but it's just not safe. So without protection of this is what I do, this is what we do, this is what we create, and this is where we are going together. If there's no protection or safe line, then it's going to be a very, very hard and long way. So this is more like an insight into like the whole image of it. Thinking about who are you with and what do you want to achieve together. And if it's like, I have this one friend, she has a complete different occupation. So she cares for abused children in Germany. Our work lives, professional lives, have nothing in common. She literally saves lives every day. If I want to mock myself, I create some fancy slides. But when we do talk together, I know she has my back and I have hers, no matter what. And I can learn from her every day because she also has some difficult situations. So that is like, choose the people you're with, and then that takes you a long way. Because it's, if you, there's this other saying I just remembered, if you want to go, if you want to go long or something, go alone. But if you want to go far, take somebody. So it's the company that makes the journey itself enjoyable.
Yeah, I was thinking the same, Melanie. There's another saying that says, birds of a feather flock together.
Yeah.
So I remember, one of my mentors used to say, if you want to be an eagle, fly with eagles. Don't hang around chickens because chickens don't fly.
That's an
So
awesome. I want to steal that.
yes, yes. So I guess what you're trying to to bring home to all of us is that during this post COVID-19, what it has done is made us value quality, right, over quantity. So rather than have a lot of close people in your life, have a few quality people who bring the best out of you, like the great example you gave of you and your friend. Now, in a working environment, how does that translate then? How do you then ensure that you can? How do you develop these relationships? I hope you're going to cover for us in one of these slides.
Absolutely. So when I moved to Austria, that was like a year ago, I got into a new job and also a new team. And then what is important to me is that my team realizes first I can do something and the things I do are of value and I have their backs. So I want them to be my teammates, not just people I work with. So I asked them, hey, what can I help you with? Is there anything I can do for you? How do we get there? Can you tell me about your path? So I'm really interested in the person and not just seeing the short-term benefit out of them, but seeing, okay, how do we get here? Or when I meet a new client, I introduce myself and then show them, hey, this is what I could deliver you. Like, this is what we could create together. This is the value. This is my experience. This is what I bring in. But I'm not here alone in this room and I'm not alone in this team. So I need you, the client, to help me pull this through because I value your experience and expertise that you have with the company. But if you're not going to share it, we both cannot do this job. So I can bring in the external perspective, but you have to give me and share the insights. So it's all about the trust that goes with it. And then also, like, all of these 6 points come together. So if you know that, for example, I just had it recently, the number 6, the protection part. One of my clients is the successor of one of the executives, as executive roles. And he was swamped. Like, his desk was literally so full. It was just stacking on top of each other. And I'm like, hey, what can I do to help you? That sounds stupid, but I'm like, hey, this is my project. I know I have this covered, but what on top? Even if it's just for 10 minutes listening to him saying like, oh wow, this is really a lot. Like, I don't know how I should do this. Like, giving him the space to be vulnerable. And we're talking now about like a mid 40, close to 50 years. I hope he's not here, but like, mid 40 male who has seen it all. Like that was really impressive his way. But then he was like there, hey, I don't know how I do this. I don't know how I can get there. So, and then like, what do you want out of it? Like, what do you want people to say about your job and your role and your function? Yeah, I do want to like get it back together. We're just post merger integration and also COVID. Like it's crazy these times. I'm like, yeah, what can you learn from your new team? But how can you show the others? How can you put them in the spotlight and their wisdom? How do you say with is the effort equal? So I applied all of these questions, most of them. Like I didn't tell him to rest and relax with his team because that was quite early. But I would also say him that because he also powered through the whole COVID time, and he also needs a break to like settle down, adjust his North Star. That's like a German saying. To get back centered and see where he's going. So also the people you surround yourself with, sometimes you cannot choose them. But I feel strongly there's always something in everybody that you can learn from them. Even if they make your life miserable and they just want your worst, you know how to protect yourself from them.
Absolutely. I think that whole diversity and inclusion is about making sure that, if you know whether you're a D or an I or an S or a C, then you know how to, work with others who are very different from you, especially in situations in the work environment, like you're saying, you can't choose who you work with, but you can choose who you are in that team and how you behave. Yeah.
Absolutely. So just looking on the time, I hope that was all right for just like some peeking in, scratching the surface. I bet there's plenty of chance to get back in the Q&A. And then I want to do with the third part, some tools and techniques and do like little exercises with each one of those where you're also like going to use your pen again, if that's all right with them. Do we need some?
So we have half an hour. Just
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. We have half an hour. So I think you're gonna pack a lot in that half an hour. So it's good that it's gonna be action orientated.
Absolutely.
So half an hour left for the presentation.
Absolutely. So then let's dive right in. So we have 6 different examples. That means for every technique, I picked a different example. So for this one, it's renewable energy. The short explanation is in the top left corner. So brainstorming is typically for a set topic, you collect words, phrases, ideas, concept, and sort them. And sort and prioritize them afterwards. That's the important part. You don't neglect any idea now. So what I want you to do, I have a timer right here. I'll set it for 2 minutes. And then I'll just walk you through a guided brainstorming. So I'm going to talk a little bit about renewable energy, and you write everything down you know about the topic, no matter how spacey and fancy it might sound, everything that you know. Ready? And let's go. So renewable energy is different in every country. There's different types of renewable energy. There's different value we can derive from it. Why do we need renewable energy? We have the greenhouse effect, climate change, global warming. There's scaring scenarios. When should we best learn about renewable energy? Or what is there to learn about renewable energy? What does renewable mean? So is planting a forest and then cutting it down renewable energy because the tree is going to grow back? What about wind, solar, water? How do we best harness renewable energy? And how do we store it? Where would we use it? Do we use it in the same way? Is there an age limit? Is the using different for a kid than it is for a grandparent? What about the different qualities that countries have? Like the Dubai area, I heard is very sunny. Now I can tell from my experience, it's very hot. So what's best for them? Or when it comes to an area where there's a lot of water, what are the different methods that we can harness it? What does renewable energy mean to you? And 4, 3, 2, 1. Wicked. So I hope you wrote down just like some random words. And this is the perfect setting for brainstorming. This is what I do with the client when they're like, I really don't know what to do. A funny trick, if somebody is really negative thinking, do reverse brainstorming. So what could go wrong? What's the worst possible outcome? So a question would be for renewable energy, how could we destroy energy? What is the least efficient way for energy? Or what is the most harmful way to source energy when it comes to the climate health? And with that, you have different ideas. And it best works when you're not alone. I mean, it works with yourself too, and you get yourself to ask some questions. But now it would be really nice to share what everybody had and to write it down on post-its, sort it out. And I am sure by the end of, let's say, take another 20 minutes, we would have a business idea or another insight or a whole new perspective on renewable energy, just because we asked some questions. So brainstorming is really fun and really effective. Like you would underestimate it, but it is cool. And that's my first tool out of the toolbox.
And just quickly, Melanie, why is it important in the post-COVID-19 scenario or new reality to have brainstorming sessions? What benefit is there? I'm sure some of the participants are asking themselves, so how's this going to help me?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Considering that most of them probably have not been in consulting or at the corporate level to be involved at this level. So, I mean, when we're talking about maybe like college students, university students, entry level professionals, young entrepreneurs, how is this beneficial for them?
You said it in your own words. It's a new reality. So we can compare a problem or like just a situation that was well known before, like taking a business flight. So is that going to be still a thing? So we can, with brainstorming, we can compare post-COVID or pre-COVID. How did that change? How did it impact me? What was my job before and what it is afterwards? So, for example, during my bachelor's, I was waiting tables because I mean somehow you had to get the money to finance me through my studies. So waiting tables is now difficult. Here in Austria, we still have to wear masks, or the waiters still have to wear masks. You have to like disinfect your fingers and hands, and you write your name down in a list. So how did that change, and how can we do that better? So it's to grasp this new reality. What changed? What is new, and how does it make me feel?
Thank you.
Then going on to the next one, mind mapping. It is quite similar to brainstorming, but it is more guided. Or like you have this, how do I sort things together? How does it actually make sense? You create lines with that. So my example here now is building a house. It gets really stormy here in Austria. Good thing I cleaned today. So building a house, write that in the middle, circle it, and then with different lines or different colors even, create what does that mean to you. So when I want to build a house, I have to know how many people are there. Is it going to be 1 generation, 2 generations, 3? So wait, let me shortly close the window here. It's getting too windy. Sorry for the interruption. So, but that's another good example. Windy, is your house good when there's a storm? Or what other national catastrophes could arrive? How do I build the foundation? How do I get my stuff? So who's going to build the walls? Where do I get the windows? What are different aspects in here? So I'm just going to do a minute here for brainstorming for the building a house. Where is it going to be? How much budget do I have to build the house? Where do I get different funding? So for example, taking on the budgeting idea, you would write budgeting in the top, in the lower right bubble. Budgeting, saying like, this is how much I need. This is how much I have. This is how much I could get from a bank or family or investors. And by that, you cluster the different ideas. So you create it together and have it then grouped. So you know everything that's in the lower right bracket of the whole mind map is targeted around the budgeting. So it's literally, your mind is very confused and chaotic, but if you map it down and connect it with fine lines, you can say, hey, this is the map now. And now I can work myself through. And now relating it back to the COVID or post-COVID scenario, mind mapping helps you also take a grip and to grasp what's happening right now. There's so many different things that might influence you in your daily life, not as a consultant necessarily, but also privately. Like, my family lives more than 1,000 kilometers away. How do I reach them? Is flying simple? So if I say as a goal, I want to visit my family, I have to make the corona test. I show up prior to the airport to have enough time. I have to make sure that I have hand disinfect portable with me. I need to do call my mom that she's going to pick me up from the airport. All of this kind of different stuff. So it helps structuring your thoughts. And then when it comes to business context, it also helps you structure your tasks that you're going to do. So I find it very helpful. And I'm sure if there's any question, we can come back to it later in the question answer.
Yeah, I like the way you're now starting to connect the concepts so that everybody understands how they fit together. Absolutely.
The next one is a fun method. Like, whenever I get the chance to use it, I do. Because it's literally like putting on different hats. The topic here is now getting a pet. So what would be each hat's reaction to get a pet? So we have these, like in the top left corner, you see the method was created by De Bono. So if you want to Google him afterwards, feel free. So if I want to have a pet, I set up like the white hat and say like, okay, what are the facts? For example, what kind of pet? And like if I want to have a cat, it needs food, it needs a crate, it needs time, it cannot be alone, how old is it? So all the facts that would be like talking toward a pet. With emotions, the question would be completely different. Yes, I do want to have a cat, like obviously. Like there's nothing nicer than coming home and then the little cat jumps on your lap and is excited for you, or you're like on the couch watching TV and like pet it next to you. It's very warm, familiar. When it comes to the benefits, they're like, hey, getting a pet, that would be nice. If I had kids, I'd be like, hey, they can now learn how to take care, to take over responsibilities. So it would be actually a really useful thing. With ideas, be like, hey, I could create a TikTok channel with this cat. Like I could go crazy and get 1 million followers. So it's nice. What different ideas do I get with a pet? The planning would be, okay, so if I now want to have a pet, when do I need to get the cat? Do I need to go to the veterinarian? When do I buy all the supplies? Is my apartment ready? Do I have a holiday scheduled up? So it doesn't make sense to buy it now and then next week leave for a holiday. So it's the very planning way. And judgment would be like logical negative. Yeah, but is a cat really that good idea, or better a dog? And what if, like, so you're bound and you cannot leave for a holiday spontaneously? You always have to make sure, like, you struggle getting yourself fed and having not rely on deep freeze pizza, and now you want to take care of a pet. So you actively go in that role and have 6 different perspectives to one topic, and that is just really nice to really helpful to force yourself seeing different perspectives, especially after COVID, or like in the post-COVID scenario now. Yes, everything is online. That's a good idea. So you have a lot of ideas with it. You can set up online sessions, or you can set up more regular FaceTime meetings with your friends and family. But then you also have to have the emotion head on it. Like, is this really what I want? But I miss the hugs. I miss the good food at my mom's place. Or the fact would be, but that would mean I'm a lot in front of a computer and I like talk in front of a camera. Or planning would be, okay, so when is the internet connection good? Is my plan, like, does it cover it all, or do I use too much data? So when you're in front of a decision, use those different hats and then see what different arguments you come up with, because there are multiple perspectives to a given scenario. And if you force yourself taking on a different hat, you automatically come to a like more realistic version of the whole situation. And I found it very good, because also that helps you. One of my clients just told me, oh, everything's never gonna go back to normal. Everything is just, I don't want to use cussing words. Like, it's not nice. So when you get there and put on the emotion hat, you say like, hey, I understand you. I know, I can see how it ruffles you. And I can see how dreading it is sometimes. And you're not used to working this way. And then you put on the green one. But hey, ideas could be. What do you think? How could we get out of it? How could we use this? So it helps people coping with the situation and showing them different perspectives to a different topic. So that helped me a lot. Any questions for now? Or then I would, because we don't have too much time and I want to go.
I think, yes, sorry. I think let's just push ahead. Yeah. And then we will, because I also, and I have another question, but I'm holding off until the Q&A.
Let's do that. Mood boards is also nice when you want to visualize where you're going. So for example, when you walk down the streets and you like, there's a little staircase, you first look where the staircase is, and then do the steps. Or when you throw a ball, you first look with your eyes and then move your body into that direction. The same goes with your mind. So if you want to have a jungle house, I didn't come up with a better picture, but I think it's very easy to create to explain the idea around it. So if you post different pictures, hey, this is how my jungle house is going to look like. So you make it a reality, something real in your mind. Your mindset fixes on it. And it is as if you were looking to it and aiming it. So all your actions are going to be targeted at this. So you have answers when somebody asks, so how does it going to look like? Where is it going to be located? And with the mood board, you also not only put your vision to it, but you also feel how it is. Like, I could see myself jumping into that little, into the pond with the waterfall, or like going through and feeling the plants on my fingers. So it all feeds into your vision. That's a really nice thing when you don't know how it's going to be, or when you want to decide between two things. So one of my colleagues decided to go back studying after he had a very successful career in a completely unrelated field, and was like, hey, I do think I feel I want to go into financial sector. And I'm like, are you sure? He's like, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about anything. And then I printed out some pictures from like everything, every profession, everything. And I asked him, hey, cut out what you think applies to you. And then when we had the mood board, said it was all in AI and financial restructuring and strategy optimization, all of these things. So the mood board helps to visualize what his heart, so to say, already knew. Storyboard is kind of the same thing, but you're closer to one story and you're helping theater, like the concepts that a theater works will use. You will take that to get somewhere. So here I have a picture of a laminate stand, and then sorry, I don't take cash. I take PayPal, Apple Pay, Google Wallet, Square, Dollar, to checkout, Skrill, WePay, Surf, WallPay, eWay, IcePay, Stripe, and Braintree. Yeah, but still, what happens next? So if you find a cartoon or an image, or you create your own story, who is your main character? What action is going to happen? What happens along the way? How is a decision going to be made? And what do the people think? So here the little boy answered all the questions, and the adult will be, yeah, but I only have cash. So what do we do with it? How could the story go on from here? And by that, you might come into a new perspective. This will spark your creativity. So it's all about getting out of this stiff work that you are in and try to get like this creative part of your brain working. And last but not least, picture association. So I see now this like brainstorming and a mind mapping, and so it goes always larger, and the picture association is the largest one. You have one dog sitting on a rocket. What now? So what does the dog see, feel, aim at, regret, or believe in? We did this exercise with our client as a post-merger integration. So it was two companies that merged into one. And we asked that, like, so what now? And you could ask that yourself after COVID. What now? I have so many friends that unfortunately lost their jobs or were not able to get an internship, and they're sitting at home. What now? So it helps if you create a story, the one before, or just with a picture. What now? How do we get from here to there? So this is just an overview. And I added two things on the bottom. It's design thinking and Scrum. Okay, I'll wrap it out real quick. So this is just, again, the names, and then design thinking and Scrum is some methods and methodologies that you can take and Google for Profound. This is what I work with on a daily basis. So if there's any question and answer for it, I'm happy to answer that. But this is just to give you like some bites to Google, because I don't want to reveal the whole thing. And then there's nothing more for me to say than that. Thank you very much. Thank you for your attention and participation.
Thank you so much, Melanie.
Yeah, welcome. I'm sorry the last
Thank you
part was
so
a little
much,
rushed, but yeah.
Melanie. Thank you. That was great. Wow. You know, I'm in the HR field, and I've seen some of these toolbox, that you've unpacked. But I learned something today, to be honest. That was great, and I think you made it very practical. And I think giving the life examples helps a lot for people. And I'm sure people, even myself, I was looking at different scenarios in my life where I could use some of those concepts. And as I know that human beings are very visual. So I know when we visualize, that works. And I've even tried a storyboard as well for my own, personal life. And they really work to visualize what kind of future you want, what kind of life you want. So fantastic presentation, quality presentation. Thank you so much. And I like what you've said there. Future mindset is open, curious, humble, and not afraid to start over and over again, because with each step you gain experience. And I think a lot of people after post the COVID-19, we're feeling in limbo, we're wondering what the future is going to hold for us and where to from here. And I think the tools that you've presented should help us to, to start to create our own picture of what we'd like the future to be like post COVID-19, because there's still a future. we shouldn't think there is in the future. So thank you, Melanie, for that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
You ended that on a very insightful note for us. And I now will open it up for questions. But before I do that, I want us to take a quick commercial break. So quick commercial break from our partners again. And when we come back, the audience and participants will have an opportunity to pose their questions to you. And I have one as well. So quick commercial break and we'll be right back. Yes, you deserve the water.
Have you realized how many people are earning millions in the cryptocurrency business? Did you know you could be one of those people? You sure can be, and there's more. The cryptocurrency market is still very new, and there's a huge potential to be successful even if you don't have any experience or weren't aware of the existence of cryptocurrency until now. If you're seriously thinking about your financial future and your financial freedom, now is the time to pay attention because Avcash is here to simplify the cryptocurrency market for you. First, you may be asking, what is Avcash? Avcash is a type of virtual currency. It is a digital currency owned by Africunia Bank, and it's based on cryptography and created through a process called mining. Just like the serial number on a paper bill, each Avcash digital coin is unique. Unlike money issued by governments, there's a finite number of Avcash, ensuring they cannot be affected by inflation and are impossible to counterfeit, because Avcash cryptocurrency is not tied to any particular country or central bank. The value of your coin depends on factors such as usability, demand, and supply. When joining Avcash, you become part of our global network of Ashcash traders and exchangers, and you will be able to choose among different ways to use your Avcash. You can trade the coin and benefit from its value. You will also be able to make payments and transfer money to and from any part of the world in seconds at a very low transaction fee using our blockchain technology. The fact is, Avcash is the money of the future. It represents freedom of payment. It gives you control and many more advantages. Transparent information, customer anonymity, no risk, purchases are not taxed. Avcash is tradable and exchangeable with other cryptocurrencies and fiat currencies. In the cryptocurrency world, very low transaction fees are a reality. And your next question might be, how do I get Avcash? In traditional fiat money systems, governments simply create money when they need to, leading to inflation. But in the cryptocurrency universe, money isn't printed at all. It's mined. Computers around the world are mining coins. Miners run specialized software on high-powered computers to solve complex mathematical puzzles. We are investing in the best available software and hardware to stay on top of all of the technology. So, if you are interested in mining, we have an even easier solution for you to start mining. No need to assemble rigs or have hot, loud computers at home. You can your web browser, and you can start making profits today. Everything's already set up for you. As soon as you join us, you can start mining and start earning your Avcash coins. A year from now, you'd wish you'd started today. If you want to know more, please check out our website at www.africunia.org or join us on Facebook or Telegram.
And we are back after that short commercial break with Melanie DP. So I know how to say your name now. Great stuff. So audience participants, this is your opportunity to pose your questions to Melanie. So type your questions out in the Q&A or raise your hand if you want to, say your question out. Your time starts now. We have 30 minutes, so make it count. If we don't have any questions yet, I have my first question, Melanie. So from your experience, which toolbox would you say most organizations prefer? Which one have you seen as most effective, or is it depending on industry?
It is not, I would not say necessarily depending on the industry, which also it does play a role, but it's the situation. It is most handy when you know what the tool is. So for example, it's when I go into my dad's tool room, is that a thing, work with handicraft stuff. I don't know how that works. So any tool is ineffective in my hands. But when he comes and repairs something like a squeaking door, he knows what he's doing. So it's the most effective thing, but only the tool that is good for a squeaking door. And that is the same thing within a working or a business context. So you have to see what helps. What I found like helping a lot is the brainstorming, because everybody in some way has already done the brainstorming. But if you do it right and you really follow it through and leave it open and don't judge anybody of like any idea that they have, they'll be like, oh wow, we created that, did we? Like we came up with that. And it's so interesting to see that spark. And that could be then followed on with the storytelling. So you take them on a journey, like a customer journey could be another example of that. Saying, okay, how do we implement that? This is our goal, where we want to go. How do we get there? So literally, what do we pack in our bag? Which map do we use and which route? So it is specific to the environment, the people, the topic, the time maybe also, because it's a difference when you do something early in the morning when everybody just had their fresh coffee, or after a long day of working. Then they like, you know what, you do your creativity thingies, I'm good. So you have to like read the room a little bit.
Good. Thank you so much for answering that. And I mean, my second question would be, what do you think stops people from, trying out some of these tools? What do you think is the misconceptions, let me say?
Well, like this is a question that I get like every other day. But what if I answer wrong? What if my answer is wrong? And I'm like, who decides my answer is right?
Yeah.
We do that together. So there's nothing wrong, like take out this judgment. And sometimes it helps leaving the room, like going outside a little, or like going for a walk and then discussing it. Because then people are able to think more freely. Because sometimes they feel like, but this is always how I've done that. And I put on that idea already, but people shoved me down. I don't want to do that again. And I felt terrible. Or they wouldn't see my perspective. Like I don't want to make a mistake. So get them out of that situation, of that reality, and put them into something, hey, like I always say, like, this is tools, like, or even more with more pictures, we're now in a sandbox. Let's build a sandcastle. And if it's a great sandcastle, everybody's happy. And even if it's not, we just had a lot of fun along the way. Nothing can go wrong. So, and that helps them. And when you see like I did that with design thinking, I had these like wax that you can mold different things out of. I brought it with, that was like, they were older. They were like senior management, something. So like 50 years old and older. I'm like, yeah, let's mold it. How? I'm like with grandkids or your own, like, let's get crafty. And they're like, that's so much fun. I didn't know this could be so much fun. And that's when you catch them. Because when we humans have fun, we get to do a lot, and we can actually create something new.
Wow. And I think I like that concept of the future mindset is about, looking at things with a different perspective, and it can still be fun, no matter what's happened with COVID, no matter what. I mean, there's been a lot of losses, as you mentioned, friends losing work, there's been a lot of negative things, but there's still opportunity for creativity and fun in the creative process. So I think that's something that, a lot of us need to start to, see that, there's opportunity for fun and creativity in this new reality that we're living in. So Thank you for that great example. See 60-year-old, 50-year-old executives playing with clay like kids must have been interesting.
that was really funny, because the task was to create the car of the future, and they had to use clay and different molds to create a car. And that was just, I had so much fun with that.
You have such a fun job. I think some people are thinking, how do I become a consultant?
No, I actually do. Like sometimes, of course, it's hard, but I always try to make my task like fun, because otherwise, where's the point of it? Then I'm just wasting time.
So what's the downside of what you do? I mean, you're talking a lot of the positives. So what's the downside of it?
So as I mentioned earlier, we work a lot. So sometimes, or like now in Austria, it's like, it's mid of August. It's fantastic here. If you ever have the chance to get to Vienna during this time, It is hot, but it's so beautiful. So when friends say like, hey, let's hang out and eat ice cream at 4 p.m., I'm like, I'd love to, but I actually have to do my job, because whatever workshop, so we call that workshop, all these creativity methods. So you do pictures of it and write a protocol afterwards. And that protocol could take up like 3-4 hours, because you want to do it good and want to write down all the notes, everything that everybody said. So because you don't want to lose what you created. So that's a downside. And what I said earlier, like I'm as an external can ask difficult questions. Sometimes, even if the best business solution would be to, I don't know, abandon a plant or like a facility, or create a new division, or to change the job profile of some people, the political view of the company or the management view of the company could be something else. And then it's personal feelings involved. And then you have to take care that you don't get your head too deep in, because in the end, it's still your client. You cannot save the world. I cannot save the world, although I sometimes wish I could. And it's still their decision. I can just prepare, show them all the aspects, recommend something that I would do, or what KPMG would recommend them. But in the end, it's the client who has to decide. And sometimes that's not the same decision. And then you have to accept that and work with it and not work against it. So it's also taking your ego out of it, knowing yourself and being like, okay, I might know it better, but the client must.
This is the client, absolutely. Thank you. I think we have a question. Somebody has a question for Melanie? Yes. Go ahead, please. Tell us your name. We want to know who you are. Tell us your name and then you can say your question.
Good afternoon or good evening.
Hello, good evening.
I'm Jado. I'm from Kenya.
All right.
Hi, Jado. Welcome from the beautiful Kenya.
Thank you. Thank you.
What's your question?
I would like to thank Melanie for the good lecture of today. And my question is about back to your presentation. Given the statement in your presentation that we are average of 5 closest people around us.
Yeah.
Are you suggesting we should practice a discrimination and avoid certain people?
I would not
choosing.
Yeah, like that's, I know that's a trick question. For example, for me, like when I count 5 people, that's my family. So no room for my friends, or if I just do my friends, there's no room for my family. So what helps me is that I pick a topic. For example, I do want to get better in sports. So when I want to do that, I hang out for a time with people that get really into sports. So they pick me up, but not the whole day is about sports. Like when I just want to do something like really good at work, or I want to do this particular project, and we are there with 25 people, and I know those 5, they have like really interesting insights, they are driven and they do want to do something. I see myself working with them, although I also work with the others, like I'm also speaking with other people, but I try to focus my attention around those who are closest to where I want to be too. So it's
that
like
means you're gonna choose who has the same mission or vision with you, then you follow them.
Yeah, or even further. They could be further along the way, and they could help me get there.
Thank you very much.
Jado, thank you so much for your question. That was quite a tricky question, but you handled it well, Melanie. Thank you so much for your question, Jado, all the way from Kenya. Thank you so much. I think, thank you. I think we have Samuel with us as well. Samuel, hi.
Hi, good evening from Nigeria.
Good evening to you, Samuel. Welcome all the way from the beautiful Nigeria, the bustling city of Lagos. Are you from Lagos? Yeah.
No, currently I'm not in Lagos. I'm in Edo State currently.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining today. What's your question for Melanie?
You're welcome. My question is this: do you believe that the right emotion and judgment has any benefits on emotional success of a business-minded person? If yes, why do many businessmen go still strictly successful despite their lack of these qualities? I don't know if you get my question correctly. If you understand
Can
my
you say
question.
it a bit slower for her? Because
That helps. Then I
so
try
very
to
fast.
rephrase.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. I talk very fast. I'm a very fast talker. So let me slow down. Now, my question is
Thank
this.
you.
Do you believe the right emotion and judgments has any benefits on a virtual success of a business-minded person? And if so, why do many business magos still strictly successful despite their lack of these qualities?
So the first part of the question is if we have emotion and judgment, if that has a benefit to the business and business-minded people. And I would say
Yes.
definitely yes. So if your heart's not in it, and if you're not behind whatever business you want to create, everything seems hard. Every hurdle will be like too big to conquer. So it is important to have emotions in it, but also like put it through. So you have to have the love for your topic, but also the judgment. Am I now still acting on logic, or is it just the thoughts and the fancy ideas I have in my hand? So emotion and judgment are kind of like sister and brother. They have to work together, and together they're a strong team for it. And if I understood the second part of the question correctly, is that the business modules still strictly successful despite their lack of qualities? I think they do have some of the qualities, but maybe they don't want to show it to them, or like not want to show it to the world. And that also goes back to a little bit like, what is the group around you? Who are the 5 people that you want to share it with? If you share your emotion and also your vulnerability with them, gives you the strength to be like confident and open-minded all in the world. So if you say business modules, I assume you're talking about like those really big people, like those that are like on top of our heads and really out there. And you only see that side of them because they choose to present only that side of them to you.
Yeah.
So I guess they also have different perspectives, but you just don't see them because they choose to not show it to you.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think that's absolutely correct. They probably don't show that side, you know. Samuel, I hope that answers your question.
Absolutely.
Fabulous. Thank you. Okay, we still have another 15 minutes for questions. Any more questions?
Ayanda,
Yes.
maybe you can read the questions in the question answer.
I can't see any. Can you see any?
I see them. I can also read them.
Okay, great. Sorry. Thank you so much for highlighting that because I didn't see any question. Yep, Melanie, can you go ahead and read them out and answer?
Yeah. First one is, given the statement in your presentation that we are average of the first 5 closest people, are you suggesting, okay, that one I covered, take that one off. The second one, as much as I agree that motivation, being focused and self-driven plays a major role in our success or failure, how do you think a common man in the streets of South America or Africa without social buffer can survive in the midst of socioeconomic injustice despite his or her high level of motivation and focus? And I do admit that's tough. That's hard. And that is just sometimes unbearable. Maybe you remember when in the second part of the presentation, I talked about learn from others. That also extend to seek help, ask for help. There's people like Babatunde from masterclass sessions, and then Africa Unite TV. They will help. I myself, I also do that out of the impression. I know I grew up privileged, and I had parents that were fantastic, helping me into my career. And I know and I recognize not everybody has that. So it's hard. And then seek out, explain yourself, and then say like, hey, how can I, with what I have, create something, and how can I get help? Who is willing to help me? And that is also being vulnerable and being open about it. Does that answer the question, whoever asked that?
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you so much for the question. Hi, we have Pradeep.
Yes, Pradeep. My name is Pradeep. I am from India.
Hi.
Welcome, Pradeep. Thank you for joining us all the way from India.
Yeah. First of all, I would like to say that it was actually my first time to attend any webinar, and I'm quite impressive to know, such a great information. Thanks for sharing such information.
You're welcome.
Thank you for joining us for the first time. Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for the great feedback. Wonderful.
Actually, my question is, if I will talk about, my local area is now sealed for 1 week, and people are saying maybe this will last for 15 days. So I was thinking about the situation. What will be the situation after the pandemic will end? Means what will happen to our immunity, and how we need to tackle this situation. Even the lockdown situation is ended, so we have to we need to take some precautions personally on ourselves on personal basis, or we need to rely on the government only. So what can be
So
done on personal basis, I would say.
first of all, if I find the question to when this pandemic ends, I will share it, like with everybody. I think this is what we all want to know. I myself just like very personally got a call from a colleague of mine who just got tested positive. So we are up in our burden and back to quarantine again. So I hope he's well. Like he has not any symptoms, and it's fine. So it's an up and down, I guess. Like as frustrating as this answer is going to be, we have to pull through it together. And then it's on us now being a community to recognize, hey, there's a small business that needs our help now. So maybe like as an insight to me being me, when it first started with the lockdown, I researched small businesses that did vegan pancakes and vegan muffins. So I just ate muffins for 3 weeks straight because I was supporting local businesses, obviously.
Yeah.
So like find creative ways to help each other out. It's not there's not nobody who has a single answer. I think there's a huge part that we have to rely on ourselves to pull through, also with the mental strength, because it can get very frustrating. But also governance and larger companies in the area or the country, they have to work together. And there's no need in denying it. There's no need in playing it down. It is serious and it affects people, and it has a huge effect and impact on the business world. So like as frustrating as this answer might be, I think maybe look at it as it is something positive somehow. We all now back to square one, and we have to have a new era of business, and let's see how we can create it. Because I mean, just today is how is that called, the World Earth Day or something. So up until now, we used all of our resources that the earth provided for 1 year. So from tomorrow onwards, we live off next generation's resources that the earth produces. And I, for myself, I don't want to have that for the kids, for my kids. Like I do want to create a better future. And maybe this one is the wake-up call that we also desperately needed.
So basically, we have to be positive and look forward a brighter future, doing some creative things to to make our future suitable. So thank you so much, I would say.
Yeah,
Thank you, Buddy, for the question. Thank you, Melanie, for that. And I just want to add that let's remember that governments also are heavily burdened right now. I mean, we can see it in the US, even the best countries, the best governments, the richest first world countries are struggling with decision making. They're struggling with policy. They're struggling with, how to resolve this. So this, as Melanie rightly said, needs like a community effort. We have to now start to get involved and to start to be part of the solution, like we're doing with Africunia, like what Africunia is doing, what Masterclass Initiative is doing, is trying to be the solution, part of the solution to some of the challenges that our countries are facing. So, it's up to us, not just the governments, to, work towards a better future.
Yeah, that is very nice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and we hope you join us again, Pardeep.
Yeah, that would be
Yes, I will I will
Fantastic.
join every time. I would say it was great meeting you guys online. Thank you so much for giving such a great
Thank
information.
you. And follow us, please. Follow us, everyone. Follow us. I forgot to mention that earlier on because I was so excited to
Yes,
get into the topic. Follow us on
I
social
have already
media,
followed.
on LinkedIn, on Instagram. Oh, fantastic. On Facebook. Please follow us. Keep up to date with all the future events that we're going to have. Thank you so much. And next question, Melanie, do you have any next questions to read out? I'm sorry, I can't see the chat box where the questions
Right.
are. That's why I didn't read any of them.
That's fine. Because giving the time, it's 5 minutes. I would say it's just time for one more question, and then you can wrap it up.
Okay.
Um,
So can we
maybe-
take 2 questions? Because I did hog some of the time from them. So just 2 questions is okay? Okay, good.
Alrighty.
Also, so it will have also 2 hands. So
Okay. Okay, so
I don't.
let's do 2 questions, 2 hands, and then we will have to go to a commercial break before we wrap up. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Shall we do first the hands or first the questions?
It's up to you.
Okay, then I have a question here that is very interesting. Given your biography, you're evidently born in a first world country, Germany, who arguably we can say the educational and social system works. Now, how do you think one can compare your success rate to that of an average woman for a third world country? That is a fantastic question, I have to say. Because like you hit 2 main spots of what I'm doing every day. First, me recognizing my privilege, first world country, we do have it good, like not everybody, but just overall. And also the educational and social system just works. From personal experience, when I was studying in the States, a young woman with a, I think, 2-year-old kid approached me and was like, hey, do you mind me asking a question? I'm like, sure. So if you break your leg, what happens in Germany? I'm like, I go to the doctor and I get it fixed. She's like, oh, and who's going to pay for that? My social security. You have that, and that works. So that was my, like, it was shattering because she's a mom of a 2-year-old and gets like and has these sorrows. And then with the average women of a third world country, for that, I have to meet you guys. So that is the second thing. I do want to expand my vision. This is one thing why I joined these whole sessions, to get your insights, to get a sense of your reality. And before I can say what's the best way to go, like I do have to meet you guys. There's no way around it. Either through online sessions or when traveling is open. I do have some really good friends in Lagos in Nigeria. I do want to visit them, and then digging in and seeing, like out of my experience, how I can help, what I can make better. And I'm sure you have so many great skills and thoughts and ideas, and you could change the world. And I would love to help you get through with that. I hope that answers it.
That was great. That was a great, great answer, Melanie. And I think a lot of hard work. As someone myself who's come from Africa and who's done well, thanks God. I think a lot of hard work. You need to, really work hard, more than your European counterparts sometimes, to get to the top. You need to study hard. You need to work hard. Sometimes you take jobs that you wouldn't ideally take, even with your qualifications, just to get your foot through the door. And my first job, if you can allow me, just to get my foot in the door, I had a psychology degree, and I started off as a receptionist because that's the only job that would give a woman of my color. And with that, I built myself up. I made friends in the organization. I really tried to give the best customer service, and I was noticed just being at the reception because of the quality of service, the way I was dealing with customers. And from then, the organization just helped my career skyrocket. So always, the humble beginnings. I always say, don't despise humble beginnings. Start somewhere. Even if you have a master's or PhD, start somewhere and do your best, and someone will recognize you. Someone will take notice, and someone will help you and give you, open the right door for you. So I like what Melanie said. She's open to partnering and helping you guys or anyone who's in need to go further. And I think this is the mindset we need a lot more of getting our the European counterparts to understand the challenges we face in Africa and how to help us to progress. But I love the way you answered that with such humility, and I really, really like that answer. And I hope whoever asked the question is very happy with how you answered it.
Yeah, and I loved your insights. Thank you very much for sharing that personal story. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Should we do, there's more hands raised.
Okay. Okay.
Can you pick one of them?
I can't actually see. So you can go ahead if you don't mind. I don't know why, for some reason, I'm not able to see the raised hands.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I hope I pronounce your name correctly. Lamidi Muhammad. You raised your hand.
Yeah, good evening. My name is Mohammed
Evening.
Lamidi from Nigeria.
Hi.
Hi,
Nice.
Mohammed. Nice to have you with us today.
Yeah, thank you. I really learned a lot from what Melanie have spoken to us, and it's quite educative. And I say thank you to her. For now, I say the topic and the explanation was very clear to me, and I understand everything. I would like regarding the social let me say the selecting of friends and know your friends, those kind of things, know who you associate with, your company, those kind of things. Like she said before, if I'm to move with 5 people and I have like 10 people, that means I'll be selected from the 5 important ones that I think they are more important to me. What if among, let me say I have 100 and maybe like say 100 more of them are important to me? How will I be able to differentiate them or pick the one that will be okay for me?
So if I
Wow,
understand,
you have 100?
No, it's just an instance. Just an instance.
Okay.
I might be working with an organization whereby I have thousands of friends there, so I have to pick from them. So how will I be able to do this?
if I understood your question correctly, you mean referring back to the 5 people you're closest with?
Yeah.
How
I
to
really want to
distinguish who is
yeah,
that?
I really want to get some input there. I don't
Yeah.
understand so far. Yeah.
Take a leap of faith. Like you're gonna choose some who's like who you think they're gonna do great and who you think they share the same mission. And then while you're working together, while you also grow yourself, you will see, hey, this one still feeds into my cause and those don't. And that is nothing bad. It's just important to recognize that. So you will, with people, like those 5 people will be there when you start your journey, but it will be a whole complete bunch of set of people when you arrive at your destination. And that is totally fair and okay, because you need some people for every step of the way. And they're gonna teach you something. So there's no sheet like, hey, I have this checklist and you're gonna be on my list. You have to take a leap of faith. Because you can only you cannot read minds and you cannot read intentions. You can just see people's behavior. And from there on, you just have to get experience, good and bad one.
Okay, I think I understand better now. It does not really mean I must have 5, but 5 important ones to be there. So just there might be up to 20, but there must be important ones which I can share some information, some vital things with. While the rest will still be as a friends, normal friends, just a friend. I understand now. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for your question.
Yeah.
Thank you for your question. Thank you so much, Mohammed. Okay, next question. And just before Melanie reads the question, I just want to encourage you, please don't rush off. We have great entertainment right after the commercial break. Before we conclude, we have some music as we promised, and we want you to stay so you can end this on a very high and entertaining note. Thank you, everyone. Melanie, continue with the questions, please.
Okay. Mr. Shebu, yeah, hello.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, I must say that your presentation was very fantastic.
Thank you.
Very educating and everything.
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
You know, before now, people do believe that they can't work without seeing physically, like going to office, working, see their boss and everything. But I believe with this COVID-19 of 18, everything has changed to digital aspect right now. Why some people are gaining from it, some people are still losing, like those ones who work physically, some lose their job. Those who are working digitally, they keep doing their jobs and everything is moving perfectly.
Yeah.
Now, how will you, what advice will you give to those people, maybe like those people that lose their job and those people, maybe they are still ignorant, as in they don't know the decision to take, either to learn something from the digital industry or just to stay at home just the way it is? What advice do you have for them?
Thank you for your question. Let me put it in 2 parts. So if I understood you correctly, there's sometimes people that cannot help it, but their jobs are in danger and their job is changed. And others are very ignorant to like, no, I don't want to work online. This is not something for me. For the latter, that was one of my mentors said, if you cannot change the people, change the people. So if they're ignorant and don't want to contribute and don't want to try it out and don't show initiative, help them find a new way out of your company or out of your business. For those who really want to do that, but they struggle, be patient with them. Like I had a lot of clients who like, I've never worked online. Like all I do is text my daughter. This is like the most I do with my phone. So how do I actually Skype or do Zoom webinars? Can you walk me through on which buttons do I have to press? So sometimes they forget to mute themselves or unmute themselves. So be patient with them and teach them what it takes. And if there's a job who is now like absolutely not relevant anymore, find a person is not the job. Like a job does not define the person. There's always more to the stories. So I am a profound believer in the variety in the spectrum of the human capabilities. So there is something that person can learn. And there's something that he or she can contribute in a very unique and special way. So it is patience and finding a new way together, I would say. Does that answer your question?
Thank you very much. I was actually trying to tell you that you advise those people. I'm not referring to myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm referring to the general public because some people don't even know what to do right now. Maybe out of frustration, maybe they don't know how to get into the digital world, or maybe they don't even know the decision to take right now. So what I was trying to tell you is for you to just throw them some word of advice on maybe what to do so that they can find life easier for them.
I think it's talking to them and being humble and patient. There is no one-fit-all solution.
And if you don't, I think if you go back to Melanie's presentation, I think the different scenarios she gave, whether it be storyboard, whether it be brainstorming, you know, those are activities that you can take to help someone actually have clarity and get to what they need to achieve. So sometimes it's not just talking, it's actually helping them through those exercises to understand, to clear their thoughts, to actually have clarity and understand where they want to go. Yeah. So applying those tools is very effective as well. So encourage people to use the tools as she's presented, and they will actually find the answers themselves, I find most of the time. Would you not agree, Melanie?
Yeah, totally. Nothing to add.
Thank you so much. I think we have one more hand from Mr. Frank. You have a question?
Yes. Good evening, everybody.
I think you're the last hand. Sorry, you're the last hand. Sorry, but you're the last hand.
A very provocative one. By the way, orange is also my favorite color, so that was very sympathetic at the beginning. And you know, the presentation is great. I know this system. I was able to live it as well, and we had it in our company when I was working for the bank. And everything is working well if you apply it, I mean, in a very logical way. Now I had the chance to go to Africa, and I learned a different world. And I talk about Black Africa, not Nigeria, South Africa. I talk about Congo. I talk about the surrounding countries of Congo, Great Lakes area, and this deep black. So coming with this idea, would you mind to accept the provocative statement, you need a certain level of education and understanding of business to follow this procedure, I mean, to follow these rules you are presenting before? Or would it be possible to find a different approach, also to get a bit more, let's say, closer to these people? And, you know, they are working like 50 or 100 years ago. They have their local custom rules, they have the tribes and all these problems. And I tell you, I had many bad experience, and it is a real tough nut to go into, and especially to teach them something, especially if it's coming from Mundele, from the white man. And sometimes I said I had to go and to have a new school, the school of life, in order to get closer to them. So what do you think about that?
I would do a big, like massive, be cautious stamp on all my slides. So you cannot just take them and say like, this is it, this is how we're gonna do it, this is how it's done. So it is like, I think makes a nice circle to the very first question of our Q&A session. It is dependent on the scenario and the situation. Like I was not fortunate enough yet to be in that area and to see for myself like how life is there. I was not attending that life school, unfortunately not yet, but you have to invite me.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, no, we talked about that.
You're welcome. Come.
So I know. But so I think the first time, or like the first times, multiple times, I would be first observing, like see how it is, how it goes, what is there, and then see if there are some parallels. So like I think the human nature in every culture so far that I met is playful and wants to help each other and is very happy and cheerful when there's good things coming away. So if you can harness that positivity and like make little steps, like say, hey, this is my idea. What do you think about it? Could that work? Could that not work? So get into a discussion early on, because I don't claim the center stage for myself, also not with my tools. It's still just tools. And in the right hands, I mean, the squeaking door, with the best tools, I could not repair it. So it is the discussion and also me learning from my opponent, because every time I enter this creative process, I learn and gain so much more, just as I learned here in this session. So I would say, yes, you're absolutely right. Like there is differences and there's not a one-fits-all solution. And then I think you have to assess, where am I right now? What are the people doing that I'm around? And how do we together get there? And maybe some of those tactics prove good. For example, like building something up and saying like, okay, how do we get here? What materials, starting point, what do we have around laying here? Like look on the floor, look left and right, what do we have? And then create a story out of it, make it practical. So you can actually like, I don't know, when you want to build a house, like take the brick and feel it. And then brainstorming doesn't help, because then it's too theoretical and like,
exactly. Yeah.
What are you cloud fishing there? Like that's not gonna do something. Like that's what I find, I guess. That would be my answer. Does that help you?
That's great. It's exactly what I get as a, let's say, as a real life solution. You have to break it down. You have to adapt yourself to the level you find there, and then to start with the knowledge you have and try to find out which way you can go. Yeah. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you for the question and that statement.
I have to jump in quickly. We have a doctor from Tanzania who wants to ask a question.
Oh, wow.
Okay, can that be the last question? Is that okay? I know we're not able to cover all the questions. So if you could, again, connect with Melanie, connect with us over social media, we can address some of these questions over there. Unfortunately, for now, the time is running out. So the doctor from Tanzania, because I have a connection with Tanzania, I will allow your question.
Hello, the presentation was very beautiful. Thank you. It was very understandable. Yeah, from my view, the understanding, you're from Germany, right? Yeah. And here in Tanzania. So I'm working here in the hospital. So my interest is knowing, like, how would your social system support the health workers in public patient.
I'm sorry, can you
I'm
repeat the
sorry,
last
can you
part?
repeat that? Yes.
That was too loud, unfortunately.
All right. My interest is knowing how your social and medical system support the health workers and the COVID patients.
How is it going? So, for example, like what I said earlier, my colleague just got tested positive. So we have a hotline nationwide that we can call, and then I can describe the situation I'm in. So I went to business dinner on Tuesday with him, and then I can tell, like, this is my symptoms that I have. Luckily, I don't have any. So do you think, and then I asked the medical personnel, like, do you think a testing is necessary? And then they decide how it's going to go with me. They have special facilities. There is the Red Cross coming to my doorstep and getting a test on me. So it is all like very good, I would say, from my experience. And some of my friends are still living in the US, so they don't have that much testing. And also the awareness in the country is not that high about it. And this place, I want to thank you, representing all the social workers and all the medical staff. You are doing a fantastic job. Like, you are the heroes of our times. Without you guys, like, I don't want to even start to think about where we are. And you are true life heroes, because I know you work over hours. You put your own health at risk, and you put your family and your own interests aside to help somebody. And that is just amazing. Like, I do want to say very much thank you at this point. That is awesome. And I hope that every country gets the resources that they need. I hope Tanzania has everything that they need, that you have in your hospital, all the resources that you want to have. And I just pray that everybody gets back to health again.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Melanie. I really gained a lot, a whole lot. Thank you
You're
so
too
much.
cute. Thank you so much.
This is the youth from Nigeria. So Emma.
I love it.
No. Oh, wonderful. Those were wonderful questions. I think that was an amazing interaction. You know, the questions were so genuine and so heartfelt. Melanie, thank you for being so sincere, humble, you know, and so open in how you address the questions. You know, that was a really wonderful session. I hope everybody gained a lot, not just from the presentation, but from listening to the questions also being posed and the answers. Thank you so much for taking the time to, you know, post those questions in the chat, in the Q&A, and to raise your hands. We really, really appreciate that. And we want to reward you with some great music entertainment to end this session. And before we do that, we're going to have our last commercial break, and then we'll end up with some music because it's the weekend. Yes?
Yes.
Be right back. That was short and sweet, right? Thank you so much. And now for some entertainment, some great music. I think we had this artist previously at the launch and the anniversary of the sequential anniversary, and we want to give you a taste of the great entertainment we had then. And I'm gonna ask that this be played just to help you get into that weekend mood. If you're not in the mood yet after that presentation, I think we're all feeling very, you know, positive, looking forward to the future with the great tools that Melanie has provided for us. So let's have some music to get us into the mood for the weekend.
Thank you.
Are we connecting? Yeah, okay.
From Divine Name. Good afternoon, everyone. Good day. I'm from Divine Name. Nice meeting you guys. I like to got some tracks for you and some freestyle. So, so this is how the story should go. We should give it all to God in prayers. And one day, this is how the story should go. We should believe in us so that we can pray to one day. Believe in yourself so one day, right? God's in Israel. Yeah. Pray to God for blessing. God's love is real. Yeah. Never look up my guy. Yeah. God's promise is real. Pray. Yeah. God's favor is real. So I'm gonna drop my song now, titled Lero. Lero actually means something comes out easily for you. A good song that you can vibe on, a motivational song, recording 2018 with my producer, Baby World, and the team around me. So I'll be entertaining you guys right now. Ache e onisopocho. Ekanuko. Wow. Ramina make it. Yeah. Mo sharu owo. Baba. Mi ò ṣẹrú ẹgbẹ́ o. Oya, yálé mi lẹ́rọ̀, oya, wọlé mi lẹ́rọ̀. Ohun ẹgbẹ́ mi ṣe nírọ̀rùn, kò mà nílé fún mi. Kò mà nílé fún mi, kò mà nílé fún mi. Wówó yẹ, yé bàbá wọlé mi lẹ́rọ̀. Yé bàbá jẹ́ kí n blow lẹ́rọ̀. Yé bàbá ìrọ̀rùn láyé o. Wá. Yé. Olúwa mi, wá. Oh, you got me, yeah, walking, yeah, you got me, praying. Thankful, my God, yeah, Àdúrà, oh yeah, Baba, jẹ́ kí n blow lẹ́rọ̀, oh Baba, yálé mi lẹ́rọ̀, oh Baba, bùkún mi lẹ́rọ̀, oh ìrọ̀rùn láyé, oh ìrọ̀rùn, yeah, Baba, wọlé mi lẹ́rọ̀, Baba, jẹ́ kí n blow lẹ́rọ̀, Baba, ìrọ̀rùn láyé, oh whoa. Wá, ajé wọlé mi wá, ọ̀la wọlé mi wá, Olúwa mi, wá. Okay, see, and I pray for more blessing. And when I seek, yeah, would you give? And when I pray, yeah, would you answer? And you are Lord of everything, yeah. Baba, damn me low, yeah. Baba, damn me low, damn me low, damn me low, yeah. Yeah, Baba, wọlé mi lẹ́rọ̀, yeah, Baba, jẹ́ kí n blow lẹ́rọ̀, yeah, Baba.
Okay, I think we have some unfortunate technical difficulties with that, but thank you so much to BB Music World for that taste of the great artist, and we hope we can have them live with us next time on one of our masterclasses. Yeah, thank you. I think that's just a teaser of what we can expect in future when we have, the artists live with us. Unfortunately, today we couldn't. But thank you, everyone. We have unfortunately reached the conclusion of this masterclass session. I'm so glad to see that everyone truly enjoyed that. And we want to reward you with a certificate of attendance. So that will be emailed to you after the session within the next week. And I want to give a special thanks to Melanie, who, has given her time and, given us a quality presentation. Melanie, I'm sure you could hear from the participants that they really, enjoyed your presentation, and you gained a lot of value from what you had to share. So from my side, thank you for being here. On behalf of the Masterclass Initiative, on behalf of Africunia TV, we appreciate your time, and we hope you'll be back again with us, in the future.
It will be an honor.
Yes.
Thank you so much for preparing.
Thank you.
Thank you for
absolutely.
That was very
Thank you for your time.
Thank you to the audience. Thank you for participating, for joining us. Please don't forget to look up for future classes on our social media, and we welcome any suggestions that you may have as to topics that you'd like us to tackle. So don't be afraid to share with us what you'd like us to talk about as well. Send us your suggestions, and we look forward to you joining us again for any future master classes that we will have, because we want to continue our mission of fostering a global community of enlightened individuals. Until then, please stay safe, take care, wear a mask, and let's connect with each other and have a wonderful weekend, everybody. God bless. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Remember, the recording will be on YouTube and Facebook. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
I've been waiting in line for you to give me your time. Listening in silence all night. Give me a little if you mind. Àwọn ọ̀tá mi mú wọn sáré nínú Lamborghini o. Mo ṣẹ́ wọn lẹ́yìn, mo gé wọn lápá, mo lé wọn léré. Àwọn ọ̀tá mi mú wọn sáré nínú Lamborghini o. Promise I'm down for the ride. Give me another tonight. You know I'll be here for a while. Here for the ride, here for the ride. Promise I'm down for the ride. Give me another tonight. You know I'll be here for a while. Here for the ride, here for the ride.
Wish everybody a nice weekend. Bye bye.